Cybercriminals are targeting Bengal cat enthusiasts in Australia through a cunning GootLoader campaign using SEO poisoning to lure users into downloading malicious payloads disguised as legitimate cat-related search results. The Albanese government is poised to implement the world's strongest anti-scam laws, compelling banks, social media, and telecom companies to share liabilities and face up to $50 million in fines if they fail to prevent scams. Germany is taking a groundbreaking step by drafting a law to shield security researchers from prosecution when they responsibly report vulnerabilities, which would not only provide legal protection, but also impose stricter penalties for offenses against critical infrastructure. And finally, Google Cloud will be mandating multifactor authentication for all users by the end of 2025 to join the likes of AWS and Microsoft Azure. You're listening to the Daily Decrypt. GootLoader, which was once known for delivering REvil ransomware, and the GootKit banking Trojan, has evolved into a sophisticated initial access-as-a-service platform. Employing search engine optimization poisoning, it strategically places malicious websites among top search results to lure victims. In a recent campaign, cybercriminals targeted individuals searching for information on Bengal cats in Australia. These manipulated Google searches direct users to compromised sites harboring malicious files. Once the user clicks a seemingly legitimate link, a deceptive zip file downloads to their machine, initiating the attack. This file contains obfuscated JavaScript designed to execute further stages, including the elusive GootKit and remote access Trojan, which will pave the way for additional malware like Cobalt Strike and even ransomware. And if you're in the business of detecting attacks, a notable characteristic of this campaign is its use of scheduled tasks on Windows systems to maintain persistence, invoking WScript and PowerShell commands to initiate the second stage payload, which, if you've done threat hunting before, that is one of the first places you'll look, so keep looking there. And this technique of SEO optimization is becoming more and more popular. And if you've listened to this podcast in the past, you know that I'm always saying, don't click Google ads, don't click Facebook ads, don't click Instagram ads, but specifically Google ads, because you're going to search for something and the top result is usually an ad, and it's usually where you want to go, but not always, because anyone can purchase these ads. And until they're taken down, if you click them, you're going to be going through this process. Now, this story isn't entirely about ads. This is more about getting legitimate results to the top of your search without having to pay. But still, the theme remains the same. Be vigilant when you're clicking links, even in Google. But hopefully this will be a thing of the past, at least in Australia, because the Australian government has unveiled new legislation targeting telecommunications, social media companies, and banks, marking what it claims as the world's strongest anti-scam framework. The proposed laws entail fines up to $50 million for companies failing to adequately prevent scams, introducing significant accountability in sectors historically perceived as intermediaries rather than protectors. So this essentially is going to impose responsibilities onto the social media platforms for scams occurring on their networks, which is unprecedented because typically platforms that host content are not responsible for the content that's hosted on their site. But, that standard was set way back in the 80s before we even thought about social media. And so I'm glad that at least Australia is taking this into consideration, though it could also set a dangerous precedent and reduce innovation in that space. We need to hold these bad guys accountable. And speaking of new legal frameworks, Germany is set to introduce a groundbreaking legal framework designed to protect security researchers who uncover and responsibly disclose security flaws. This draft law aims to shield those conducting security research from criminal liability, provided their work respects defined parameters in the responsible disclosure process. The Federal Minister of Justice, Dr. Marco Buschmann, said those who want to close IT security gaps deserve recognition, not a letter from the prosecutor, which has been a thing we've been seeing recently, where someone tries to warn a company that they're vulnerable to something. The company, of course, doesn't listen. Then they disclose the vulnerability in hopes that that will boost the the company's motive to addressing this vulnerability, and then they're sued. Which, if your intent is malicious, you should be being sued, but why would I use my own name and report this type of thing if my intent was to be malicious? The hard truth is that companies do not want to listen, and they do not want to spend money fixing things that probably aren't a big deal, to them anyways. And so it does come down to that, where security researchers are having to push the boundaries of responsible disclosure to get them to address these vulnerabilities. So I'm glad to see this changing, because this will only help make the internet a more secure place.
This has been the Daily Decrypt. If you found your key to unlocking the digital domain, show your support with a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It truly helps us stand at the frontier of cyber news. Don't forget to connect on Instagram or catch our episodes on YouTube. Until next time, keep your data safe and your curiosity alive.